Hey, my friends, this is Tracy. Just wanted to talk about a few articles I read today. This is going to be a two-part series on globalization. And I want to talk about Biden. Biden's a globalist. Trump has pulled out of all these globalization entities, globalized entities. And Biden will be jumping right back in. What's going on here is there's a guise that globalization goes under. Sustainable living and climate change is the guise that is actually a facilitator for the New World Order. And so the Paris Agreement that we backed out of is a way to do that. It's a way of control for world dominance, world government, okay, by the UN. And the Paris Agreement is a framework within the United Nations. It's part of Agenda 21, a part of it that sets goals for gas emissions, each country, for gas emissions by a certain year. Many of them are saying by 2030, zero greenhouse gas emissions. That leads us back to what the World Economic Forum said, that we will own nothing. We won't have cars. Here California saying they're not making any new cars. We'll own nothing, and meat, is going to be a treat. So today the United Nations put out an article that says the UN warns 2021 we will have famines of biblical proportion. So let's take that for what it means. So the first horseman of the apocalypse, the white horse of the apocalypse, represents famine, many people being killed, okay? We're starting to see it now in many countries. Turkey now, the people are literally starving to death. And the United Nations is saying, well, we can't help them. We don't have the means and this and that. They blame it on supply breakdowns and all that kind of stuff. Just like in our first round to CV, how they were blaming, supply breakdowns while farmers were literally having to bury their crops, And so it's all under the guise of climate change. It's how, they use regulations, they use they're going to use carbon taxes. They're going to use sustainable living goals, getting people off farmlands. They're going to regulate them out. They're going to use weather warfare to get them out. There was a recent article, too, that stated the military will be in control of the weather by 2025. We're already in control of the weather. But that was a recent news article within the last week. Trump had pulled out of all this, the Paris Agreement and all this, and the WHO came out with an article today talking about how Biden's going to get back in because Trump quit funding the WHO. Millions upon millions of dollars every year that we were using. One of the things we were doing was paying for all Mexico's abortions, okay? And it's basically a welfare system for the world, for world health. Of course, they're all in on it with this global pandemic and all of that, but it's all a means of control, okay? So we have these large entities like the WHO, that is not what they appear to be. We have somebody who's just right on board with this. He's going to jump in. He's going to pay up all the back stuff that Trump didn't pay, and he's going to get right in on globalization. So let me get to this. I was reading an article today about world leaders that were congratulating Joe Biden on the win. Now, why would they do that, when it's not set in stone at this point? They're doing that because, he's chosen to win, to be a leader, a global leader. So the congratulations that came in from world leaders that I found interesting. The minister of Fiji said in a tweet before the election was formally called that they must work together and confront a warming planet and rebuild a global economy. Okay, that's going to be the crash. When I was in the last video, when I was talking about what's coming, the crash is going to be in the second quarter of 2021, and supply chain breakdown, complete supply chain breakdown, and that's because these globalists have bought out all the food companies. They've managed to they may have different names, but they're all the same entity, and so they have total control of the food supply, and that's why we saw a lot of farmers. They were saying it was a supply chain breakdown. It was that they were trying to put farmers out of business. They don't want people to have options on their food supply. But back to the congratulations. So let's see. We've got Iranian vice president said, hope we will see a change in the destructive policies of the United States and a return to the rule of law. Okay, rule of law is New World Order jargon. If you ever saw Bush's speech talking about we're going to have a new world order and we will be successful, and we will not be run by the jungle but by the rule of law, and that is a jargon for the new world order. So anyway, so the Iranian president said he's glad to see a change in the destructive policies of the United States. What is that? Trump's policy of America first. He doesn't want to be part of this global world. Okay? And it says a return to the rule of law and international obligations. Okay? Welfare for the world. They want a global economy where we share so we're all equally poor. Okay? Not so we're all equally rich. So we're all equally poor. It's part of the famine. It's part of what this coronavirus is meant to do, okay? Because the UN put out that article today that we're going to have famines of biblical proportion. And it will be biblical proportion. Okay, here in this article it says, after Trump withdrew from the WHO, Biden promised to rejoin it on his first day in office. Biden is a globalist at heart, wrote Natasha Kassam, a research fellow at Sydney's Lowly Institute political think tank. Let's see. Let's go on to the next one. Congratulations around the world. They're talking about Trump's America First foreign policy approach. Okay. They're calling Biden a global world leader. Canada, he says, Trudeau says, we will further build on this foundation. We will continue to keep our people safe and healthy from impacts of global COVID-19 pandemic and work to advance peace and inclusion, economic prosperity, and climate action around the world. So number one, he said, basically peace and safety and climate action. Very biblical. When they say peace and safety, you know that the time is near. So Fiji also said, now more than ever, we need the USA at the help of these multilateral efforts and back in the Paris Agreement, ASAP. Okay, so this is all globalist agendas, and they're just happy as pie because, what they're wanting to do is get the New World Order going. And Trump was holding that back by pulling out of these global groups. New Zealand, we're excited to work with the U.S. on prosperity, security, and sustainability Okay, that is Agenda 21. The New World Order, sustainable living, moving people out of farmlands. It says as well as global challenges like COVID-19 and climate change. Okay? All under the guise of climate change. This is the New World Order. Welcome to the New World Order. U.S.-Sweden relations are excited to work in multilateralism, democracy, and global security. So, anyway, it goes on and on. These new leaders are very, very happy about this. And, like I said, many of them say they're going to have zero greenhouse gas emissions on the Paris Agreement. That means basically they're going to take everything away from us. And the World Economic Forum said that. We will own nothing, okay? We withdrew, and Biden says he's going to rejoin his first day in office. So basically, it's all under climate change in different, ways. That's what the new Green Deal is as well. Same guys. It's about global control. And it's basically a global economy. And it will make us all equally as poor. And the United Nations will pull back on food supply. And we're gonna see the first horse of the apocalypse come in. And it's starting now, friends. The grocery stores now are limiting, Reese's and many others are on board now, limiting our toilet paper and sterilization products, cleaners and all of that down to 2 that we can buy, okay? And we've got the UN saying that the famines are going to be of biblical proportion in the year 2021. Now, if we go back and we look at the email that was released by the whistleblower and the Canadian government, it also said that supply chains are going to break down in the second quarter of 2021, okay? So that means a complete breakdown, okay? So in other words, food's going to be out, and once it's out, it's going to be out. That's why I can't tell you enough how important it is to stock up on food, friends, as much as you can. Things with the longest dates you can find. If you can afford to buy the 30-year shelf life food, then do it. If not, there's many things you can do. There's Mylar bags. There's many things you can do. Many canned foods, I suggest you look this up on YouTube, last well beyond the date, like tuna lasts 5 to 7 years beyond the date. But stock up on everything you can, canned meats, Spam, potted meats and things like that, friends, because they are going to pull back the food supply. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Call me crazy, but what's going to happen is on the third quarter, as released in the Canadian government whistleblowers email, the third quarter, the troops are going to be on the ground, okay? That's when the vaccine's going to come out. And if you don't take the vaccine, now this is biblical, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. The vaccine's going to be a Band-Aid. It's going to put a tattoo on your hand. And you're not going to be able to go to the grocery store and buy food if you're not vaccinated, because, it's going to be so contagious at this point. And COVID-21 will have also been introduced into the mix, okay, which is going to be deadlier. And this is bio-warfare. This is bio-weapons, okay? This is man-made. I mean, the Event 201, they were already talking about it right before COVID came out and planning it, I mean, it's a well-known fact that this is a terrorist attack, basically, by globalists. It's done not just by China. It's done by the world, by world globalists, by the United Nations, okay? Just like the Bible speaks of, that by the one world government. It says we'll come into one world government, one world religion, which the Pope's been working on. And, we're going to have a one world leader, which is going to come probably right out of the United Nations. So, my friends, I'm running out of time. I'm going to do a second part. Love you. Bye-bye.